Guys, please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice on screen. Those are attending in online. Guys, please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice on screen. Those are attending in online. Please check it. Am I audible? Yeah. Good evening. Good evening, Sai Sudhir. Right, sir. And check it what we completed in the last session. What topic here we understood there. Now here we are understanding the prerequisite part for advanced Java. In a prerequisite, what we completed there already, classes, abstract classes, interfaces we completed. Next one is what keyword here we completed there, static keyword here we completed. Then today we have to understand throws, try catch finally, at least one approach in a dynamic input that we have to understand clearly. Okay. All right, sir. Next one is after that, after understanding this and one commonly people are asking this question to me for this advanced Java, not only for this advanced Java, all my classes, whatever the classes that I'm taking classes in both offline and online. If I start any new class, then definitely it will be in online and as well as in offline. For both the offline students and online students, recordings, video recordings will be provided. No second thought of it, no changes in the statement. So no need to ask this question every time. Then for every course of mine, definitely we are able to get recorded videos. So today might be the advanced Java I'm starting now. This advanced Java classes right from first class. All videos will be provided. But it's in still in a demo classes now within 1 or 2 days of them. I think so. Already our admin people are sharing that videos already. They are in the process now. Those who want to continue these classes there, just you can contact with our office and our office people will give that video support and all. Those who are in online, send a mail to Durgasoft online training @gmail.com. Then our people will do the further process for it. Okay. Right, sir. Anyway, just we can contact with our admin people. They will give more clarity on these videos and all. But for every course of mine, definitely we are able to get video support. Right. Now let's move on to the point here. So exception handling related topics here we have to understand. First of all, a simple point here I'm telling to you, observe carefully. Directly, I'm asking this question to all of you guys. Now try to answer for it. What is an exception? Any idea? Simple definition. I don't require too much complex, Runtime error causes abnormal termination to the application. That's enough. But I've given some other definition also in the core Java classes here. That is not required here immediately. But here we have to understand what exactly the meaning of this exception. In the sense, in a simple way, we can understand exception is a runtime error causes abnormal termination to the application. That's it, not more than this. Right, sir? Again, understand this one. What is the meaning of exception? Runtime error. A problem will come at runtime. A problem will come at runtime which has a solution programmatically, and it causes abnormal termination to the application. All right. This is the meaning of like what their exception. Are you getting it or not? Right, sir. Exception is a runtime error. Exception is a runtime error causes abnormal termination to the applications. Right, sir. That's okay, fine. Next one is what there. What is the meaning of this abnormal termination? What is the meaning of abnormal termination? Terminating the program in the middle termination. Yes, sir. Am I right or not? Middle drops in your terminology. Are you aware about it? What is this middle drop? No? Play chords. Whenever we are playing with the chords, middle drops are going on or not? I think you are not aware about it. Your play is totally different, I think so. Not this play chords. Fine, sir. So in the middle of the program, if the program execution is terminated, then that type of termination is what their middle termination. That is called as what their abnormal termination. Understand it clearly? Okay, fine. Whenever we are providing abnormal termination to the application, when we are having abnormal termination to the application, what we are going to do then? Understand this clearly. We are able to get some serious problems with these abnormal terminations, no? Right? In Java applications, abnormal terminations are able to provide the following problems. What are the various problems here we are able to get? No, some following serious problems. All right, sir. Say maybe crashing operating system. All right, so next one is like what they're hanging network. If it is network based application, network application. Next one is what they're down the server down. Totally the server is going to be down. Right, next one is what they're collapse the database. And the database is going to be collapsed and so on and so on and so on. These many serious problems that we are able to get whenever we are having abnormal terminations to the applications. Then what we have to do there to come out from the above situations, we have to handle exceptions properly. Right, sir. In how many ways we are able to handle the exceptions? In Java, in how many ways we are able to handle the exceptions? In 2 ways we are able to handle the exceptions. There are 2 ways to handle the exceptions. What are the 2 ways to handle the exceptions now? Tell me, guys. What are the 2 ways to handle exceptions now? First one is like what there? Come on, by using throws keyword. First one is what there? By using throws keyword. Right, sir. First one is what there? By using throws keyword. And the second one is what there? By using try catch finally. By using what there? Try catch finally. Right, so these are the approaches here we are going to use there. 2 approaches here we are able to use. By using the throws keyword, and second one is what there? By using the try catch finally. Now we are going to understand throws keyword. What is the purpose of this throws keyword actually? Throws keyword can be used to bypass the exception from present method to the caller method. In the present method, in a method we are getting an exception. That exception we want to bypass from present method to the caller method. It is not handling the exception really, just it is bypassing exception to the caller method in order to handle. That exception is not going to be handled here. It's going to be forwarded to some other method. That method is going to handle our exception. For this particular reason only here we are using what keyword here? Throws keyword. Observe carefully. Throws keyword is able to bypass the generated exception from present method to the caller method. Throws keyword is able to bypass the generated exception from present method to the caller method in order to handle that exception. Right, sir. Now simple. I want to show an example here. Now try to understand this clearly. Right, sir. Now I want to right, so now D drive, then ADV Java 7:30 p.m. Then I want to use tester.java again. Right, sir. Now here, let me take this class test. Inside this main method here, I want to take. Right, sir. Now, what I'm going to provide there, observe carefully. First of all, here I want to take a class K. Inside the class K, just I want to take void M1 method. Inside this M1 method, I'm calling what method here? M2 method. Here I will provide void M2 method. Okay, now observe carefully. Inside this M2 method, I'm able to get an exception. We are able to get an exception. How we are able to get an exception here? Throw new IO exception. Here I'm using what keyword here? No, throw keyword. Throws keyword is different and throw keyword is different. Throws keyword is to bypass the exception to some other method. Throw keyword is able to raise the exception. To generate an exception explicitly, we are using what keyword? Throw keyword. But throws keyword we are going to use to bypass the exception. Okay. Now what exception here we are using there? Now tell me IO exception here now. So IO exception is available in java.io.package star. In java.io package only IO exception is available. Observe carefully. Import java.io.star. Class A void M1 M2 method, void M2 method, throw new IO exception. That's what we are getting clearly. Right, sir? Next one is after this. Now observe carefully. We are inside this. I want to create an object for class K. Then I want to call a.m1 method. Observe carefully. M1 method is calling M2 method. M2 method is having some exception here now. Right. Observe carefully here. Line numbers are available. At which line number we are getting an exception, sir? Now tell me. At 7th line we are getting an exception or not? Now here, if I compile and execute this program, there we are able to get our content at 7th line. Observe carefully. D colon CD space Java, sorry, ADV Java, Java C space tester.java. Right, sir. Now here at which line we are getting this exception? Now tell me. 7th line. Unreported exception, IO exception must be caught or declared to be thrown. Throw new IO exception that we are getting there. Throw new IO exception. Got it or not? Now one error here we are getting there. That's okay, fine. Observe carefully. Now here my requirement is this IO exception I don't want to handle inside the M2 method. I want to bypass this exception to the caller of M2 method. At which line this M2 method is called here? No, at line number 4. At 4th line this M2 method is called. To this location I want to bypass my exception. To bypass the exception from present method to the caller method, there we have to use what keyword here? Throws keyword. Along with the throws keyword, we have to say an exception name. It should be either same as the generated exception or superclass of the generated exception. Time being, I want to use what there IO exception I want to use. Right, sir. Throw new IO exception. The throws IO exception I have used it. Now observe carefully. If I compile and execute this program, where we are able to get this exception, no? Now try to understand this clearly. Now tell me, M2 method is called at which line here? No, line number 4. Now let me check this. No. Java C space tester.java. At which line here we are getting these exceptions or now tell me. At line number 4 here we are getting this particular exception. That's okay now. Again another point here. Now that exception is available inside this M1 method at the time of M2 method call. My requirement is inside this M1 method also I don't want to handle this exception. Inside this M1 method also I don't want to handle this. I want to bypass this exception to the caller of this M1 method. I want to bypass this exception to the caller of this M1 method. Then which method is calling this M1 method here? No. Which method is calling M1 method? Main method. To the main method here I want to bypass my exception. Then again here we have to use throws. along with the throws. Either we have to use the same generated exception or we have to use superclass of the generated exception. Now, previously already we have used generated exception along with throws keyword. Now I want to use superclass to the superclass of the generated exception. What exception class is generated here? IO exception. What is the superclass for this IO exception here? No exception. What is the superclass for IO exception? No exception here we are using now. Now tell me, which method is calling M1 method here? Main method. At which line it is calling M1 method here? No. At 13th line, that method is called here. No. Now to this 13th line, we want to bypass the exception. Now let me compile and execute this here. Java C space test.java compiled. Right, so now here we are getting compilation error. At which line we are getting this error? No. 13th line here we are getting there. Observe carefully. Okay, now my requirement is what? Even here also I don't want to handle it. I want to bypass this exception to the caller of main method. Who is calling main method? Who is the caller of main method? Who is calling main method? JVM is calling our main method. So to the JVM I want to bypass my exception there. Again here we have to use throws keyword. Along with throws keyword, we have to use either same as the available exception. What exception is available to this M1? No exception only. Either we have to use exception or superclass of the exception. Here superclass of the exception is what there? Throwable. The throwable here we are able to use clearly. Right, sir. Now at compilation time, we are not going to get any exception, but when we execute this program, JVM will handle this exception with all the three locations. What are the three locations? No, first location is what there? 7th location. Next location is what there? 4th location. Next location is what there? 13th location here. Now in this way here, we are able to use this content here. All right, so now let me execute this. Let me compile this. No compilation error. All the locations we handle it and we bypass that exception to the JVM level. When we execute it, there we are able to get exceptions at all three lines. What are the three lines here we are getting there? 7th line, 4th line, then what next one here? No, 13th line here. In all the locations here, we are getting our exception content. Got or not? Right, so now let us understand this one. This is a program here, what we provided. Example code here provided. Next one is like what there. Right, sir. Got it or not? Next one, after this, after completion of this, try catch finally. This information is sufficient. Try catch finally. One more point here I'm telling to you. Observe carefully about this try catch finally. And before this, we have a question. Already we have throws keyword to handle the exceptions. Then what is the requirement to come for like a try catch finally? What is the need? What is the requirement to come for try catch finally? This is the question here. What we are getting there now. Sir, all of you are getting it or not? What is the answer here we have to provide there? Now observe carefully. In Java applications, tell me what throws keyword is able to do now. Tell me, throws keyword is not handling the exceptions really. Is not handling the exceptions really. Okay, rather what it is doing there? No, it's not handling the exceptions really. Rather, right, sir. Now it is able to bypass. It is able to bypass exception. It is able to bypass exception to the caller methods in order to handle the exception. But our requirement is what there? The location where exception is generated, there we want to handle. Really, we want to handle the exception. We don't want to skip that exception handling responsibility. I want to handle that exception. We don't want to come out from that particular responsibility. All right, sir. In Java applications, observe carefully. In Java applications, if you want to handle the exceptions, at the location where the exceptions are generated, we have to use try catch finally. We have to use what there? Try catch finally. Also carefully, in Java applications, if you want to handle the exceptions at the location where the exceptions are generated, we have to use what there? Try catch finally. All right, so then what is the syntax of this try catch finally? No, try some instructions here we are going to write. Next one is what there, catch exception name or reference variable. Then inside this, then what next one here, no, finally block. All right, sir. Now inside the try here, what we are able to provide there, inside the try, some doubtful code. Try block is going to include doubtful code where to generate an exception. It's not like what their confirmed code. It's a doubtful code only. The doubtful code may rise, may not rise the exception. Doubtful code may rise, may not rise the exception. Observe carefully. Right, sir. Doubtful code. In the case of this catch block, what we are able to provide there, just some code to display exception details. Inside the catch block, what we are able to provide there, code to display exception details. Finally block, what we are going to finally block now, see this try catch finally we are going to use effectively in JDB's applications now. That's why I understand this content clearly. Inside the finally block, what we are going to write there, code to execute, that means guarantee to execute, code guarantee to execute code. Try block is not giving guarantee, catch block is not giving guarantee for execution, but finally block is giving guarantee for execution, guarantee to execute code. Right, so now these are the three blocks here we are able to have clearly. But I have a question. What are the points here we are going to understand there? Observe carefully. Flow of executions I am telling there. Try block I am going to provide. Inside the try block we are going to provide like what there, doubtful code only. So what is the meaning of this doubtful code here? In the case if you are having an exception, flow of execution will come to the catch block by skipping the remaining instructions in try block. After that finally block, it will be executed. In the case if no exception is available inside the try block, no, if no exception is available inside the try block, no, total try block will be executed. At the end, directly flow of execution will come to what block here, finally block, without executing catch block. No, flow of execution will not come to the catch block. When this catch block will be executed, when we have an exception inside the try block, then only catch block will be executed. If no exception is available in try block, there is no chance of executing what their catch block. Sir, got it or not? Already might be in course of we discussed it there, but again I want to give that flow of executions to you in the overview manner. Now try to understand it. For example, I have some instructions here now. Here this is on code lines here we are having try block. Here we provided some instructions here we are providing. Right, observe carefully. Here I'm having some exception. We are having some exception here. Catch block exception give, for example. Here also know here we are having some instructions. Finally block, some other instructions here we are having. Then after that, after the finally block also, a set of another instructions are existed. Another example also here I'm telling there, but in this case we don't have any exception. Right, so they are the two cases I'm telling to you. Observe carefully the flow of executions. No. First of all, I have written like what there, try block here I have written. Before try block, whatever the instructions here we provided, every instruction will be executed before the try block. Inside the try block also, before exception, everything will be executed. Inside the try block also, before exception, everything will be executed. When we have an exception inside the try block, from this exception, flow of execution will come to what block here? No, catch block. Flow of execution will come to what block here? No, catch block. So catch block is going to be executed. When catch block is executed, next one is what there? Finally block will be executed. After finally, if you have any instructions, they are also be executed. That's it. Now this is the flow of execution. Now tell me, in this case, what is not executed? All right, sir. Now inside the try block, offer exception, it is not executed. Am I right or not? Offer exception inside the try block is not executed, but all the remaining instructions are executed or not. This is a flow of execution. Here we can understand now. So for example, the second case here, if we come there, before try everything will be executed. Inside the try also be, until we are not getting any exception, until we are getting exception, or maybe at the end of the try block, everything is going to be executed. If no exception is identified inside the try block, no flow of execution will come to what block here? Finally block directly without executing catch block. Now here, finally block will be executed. After executing that finally block, remaining part of the program will be executed. Now here, what is not executed here inside this example here? No, catch block is not executed here. No, catch block is not executed here. No, observe carefully. So this is the internal flow of execution for what there for the try block. Total internal view here I am providing there about this try block. Observe carefully. Okay, now it is completed. After this, what about this catch block? No, through this catch block we are able to display the exception details. Observe carefully. In catch block, we have to display exception details in the following three ways. What are the three ways to display these exception details? No, in the catch block. First one is by using print stack trace method. Second one is what there by using, now tell me sir, by using print stack trace method, what it is able to provide? No, it is able to provide the exception details. Like what there? What exception details? No, name of the exception, description of the exception, and what next one here? And the location of the exception. Observe carefully. Next one is what there? By using system.out.println of E. That is what there? System.out.println of E. That is internally what method here? No, toString method. What it is able to display there? Now tell me. Come on. It is able to display the exception details. Like what details here it is able to display there? Name of the exception, and what next one here? No, description of the exception. Name of the exception, and what next one here? Description of the exception. Third one is, what is this third one here? Now tell me. By using system.out.println of e.getMessage method. What is this e.getMessage method? Now observe carefully. It is able to display the exception details like only description of the exception. It is able to display only like what there? Description of the exception. Observe carefully. Right, sir. Now let us see this point here. Simple example here I am going to provide now. By this we are able to get some clarity. Try, catch, exception E. Right, sir. Now here finally block here I am going to provide, but finally block you don't require now. All right, now try block. Inside this try block, for example, float f is equal to 100 divided by 0. All right, sir. Which exception here we are able to get there? Arithmetic exception here we are going to provide. Now we want to display all these arithmetic exception details. All right, sir. Now what we are able to get here? Now try to understand it clearly. First of all, e dot print stack trace method. Next one is what there, system dot out dot println of e. Next one is what there, system dot out dot println of e dot get message method. Right, sir. From line to line, I want to give one line space here. Right, sir. This is the content here. We can understand. Inside the final block, I don't want to provide any information. Of course, not required. It is optional here. We can, if you want to write it, we can write it. Otherwise, not required to write it. Just we can remove this. I completed. Now let me execute this program. Java C space or tester.java compiled successfully. Java space test. Here we are getting outputs. What outputs here we are getting there? Now tell me. First one is what there? Arithmetic exception. Name of the exception slash by 0. This is description of the exception. This is location of the exception. This is because of print swag trace method. Next one is what we are getting there. Java.lang. Arithmetic exception. Name of the exception slash by 0. Description of the exception. This is because of sys.out.println of e. Print stack trace method is able to provide the complete information. But here what is this actually? Name of the exception and description of the exception is provided by sys.out.println of e. That means two string method internally. Last one is what there? Description of the exception. Here the description of the exception here we are able to get just by using what there? Get message method. Understand it clearly. So this is what exactly the program here we can understand. Right, sir. Now this is somewhat information about like what their catch block. Okay, right, sir. Apart from this, what is the point here I'm telling to you? Finally block is for what purpose there actually? Finally block, whether we are getting an exception or not, that doesn't matter. But finally block is going to be executed. So finally block is going to include some instructions. Finally block is having code to execute by JVM irrespective of, understand my point here, irrespective of executing, irrespective of getting an exception, irrespective of getting an exception in try block. Observe carefully, irrespective of getting an exception in what there? Try block. Finally block is able to, is having code to execute by JVM irrespective of getting an exception in try block and irrespective of executing try block or not, and irrespective of executing catch block. Right, sir. Try block whether you execute it or not, catch block whether you execute or not, that doesn't matter. Which block is going to be executed here? No, finally block is going to be executed. Please remember this. In general, we will use all close operations inside the finally block. Why? Because close operations are mandatory to perform in our applications if we are using any resources. For example, database connection if we use, or network connections if we use, or some other connections if we use, no, their close operation is mandatory. Otherwise, security problems will come. So to avoid these security problems, we have to close them inside the finally block now. In general, we will use all close operations of the resources inside the finally block. Right, sir. Now this is that another content here we can understand now. Right, sir. Now here my intention is what there, just basic idea here I given there clearly. Sir, all of you are getting it or not? Simple basic idea about this try catch finally here I given. Clear? Now I'm asking some questions to you. Now try to answer for it. Okay, then before this question here, I'm telling to you, observe carefully. This is our requirement. In JDBs, I'm going to use directly this topic now. Observe carefully. If we use resources like what there, database connections, comma, network connections, and so on, streams, and so on, in Java applications, observe carefully. This is our required point. Only because of this point only I'm discussing this much of try catch finally. Understand my point, Ken? In Java applications, then the resources operations are able to generate exceptions. If we use some resources in our Java applications, that resources related operations are going to generate some exception. Maybe whatever the operations, input operation or output operation, sending data to say database, no, or network operations, get sending data from one machine to another machine over the network. All these operations are able to rise what there some exceptions. Good. To handle these exceptions, to handle these exceptions, if we use try catch finally, then we have to use the following convention. Then here we have to use what their following conventions. What conventions can we are able to use? Observe carefully. Sir, all of you are following these points or not? In core Java already completed this topic there, but again I'm giving some review. Try to understand it clearly now. So if we are using some resources in our Java applications, that resources related operations are able to raise some exceptions. To handle these exceptions, if we use try catch finally, there we have to follow some conventions. What conventions here we have to follow there? That number one, convention number one. Declare all the resources before try block. Declare all the resources before what there? Try block. Before the try block. Observe carefully. This is okay. Next one is what there? Create all the resources inside the try block. Declaration is different and creation is different. Declare in the sense declaring variables. Creation in the sense creating objects for that reference variables. Okay. Next one is close the resources. Close all the resources. Close all the resources inside a finally block. Close all the resources inside what block there? Finally block. Yes, sir. All of you are getting my points or not? Declare all the resources before try block. Create all the resources inside the try block. Close all the resources inside what there? Finally block now. In IO streams, whenever I'm going to talk about dynamic input approaches, no, I'm going to use this directly. But now I want to show the syntax only. Here I'm going to show what there? Syntax only. Try to understand this now. For example code here I'm telling there. Here I'm using try catch, and then after that finally block. Try catch finally. First of all, say for example, I want to go with what their connection, database connection. Con is equal to null. Just a declared connection. Before try block, we have to declare connection. Next one is what their buffered reader stream BR is equal to null. Just declare the stream buffered reader. Next one is like what their socket S is equal to null. Socket network connection, for example. Sir, are you getting it or not? Just I declared all the resources now before try block. But inside the try block, we have to create the resources. How to create the resources now? Con is equal to some code is available, but not required to think too much about it. No, but try to understand. Driver manager dot get connection method, where some parameters are available, not required. So we create the resource. Next one is what their BR is equal to new buffered reader of new input stream reader and then here system dot in. Of course, in the dynamic input approaches I will discuss about it in the next topic. I need to discuss about this point here anyway, don't worry. Next one is what there socket S is equal to new socket of something else, like what there some local host comma some port number. Here we can provide, that's it. Okay, like this here we prepared what there, that sockets can see what I have done. All the resources are declared here. but all the resources I created here inside the try block. All the resources what I done there, all the resources I created here inside the try block. Like so what next one here? No, after this, I need to close all the resources inside what there finally block. But observe carefully. To close the resources, I need to use close methods. To close all the resources, I have to use what methods? No, close methods. But these close methods are again throwing some exceptions. These close methods are able to throw out what there? Some exceptions again. Are able to follow or not? Right, sir. Whatever the exceptions which are thrown by these closed methods, that exceptions here we have to handle. We need to handle even that exceptions also. But how we are going to handle these exceptions clearly? Again here we have to take what there? Try. Here we have to use what there? Try, catch. Here we have to provide exception E. Like this here we have to use. Now inside this try block, inside the try block, there what we have to do there? We have to close the resources. What resources here we want to close there? Con dot close method. Next one is what there? Br dot close method. Then after this br dot close method, next one is like what there? After completion of this s dot close method. That's it. Is it? Are you getting clarity or not? So syntax here I followed here. First one is what there? Declare the resources. Next one is what there? Create the resources. Then what next one here? After this, close the resources here. Got it or not? Close the resources is like what there? All right, they're able to raise again exceptions now. To handle these exceptions here, we have used is what there? Try and catch here we have used there. Now inside this, then what we have to do there? E dot print stack trace method here we are able to use. That's it. This is what exact the convention here we provided. We are getting inside the Java. Sir, got it or not? First one or two examples, I'm going to use the same approach in my JDBC. But understand the next level, next point also now. What is this next point here? Right, sir. If we use the above approach to handle the resources, if we use the above approach to handle the resources, then we are able to get the following problems. Come on, guys. Now tell me what problems here we are able to get. Already discussed about it. In exception handling, I have discussed already. What problems here we are able to get there? Point number one is what there? Developer must close the resources explicitly. It is not guaranteed one. Developers may forget to close the resources. Sir, all of you are following or not? Here, these close methods must be written by developers. Developers have to write these close methods. Understand my point here? So developers may forget to close the resources. Security problems will come there. So it is not guaranteed one. It is not guaranteed. Second point here. So what is that alternative here we are expecting there? No. What is that alternative here we are expecting there? We are expecting the alternative. Automatically resources have to be closed by JVM instead of by developer. In place of the developer's close operation, the JVM has to close the resources cap. That we are expecting the alternate. Developer don't want to close the resources cap, but JVM has to close the resources automatically, where developer's dependency is not required. If you are depending on the developer, no, developer may close, may not close. Problems will come here. But automatically, if we close the resources there, definitely it's a guaranteed one. That's point number one. Next one is inside the finally block, all close methods are required. Again, try and catch. It is somewhat confused code. This type of code is what the writing try catch inside the finally block, somewhat confused code. Yes, sir, got it or not? It's not simple code. All right, sir. Now, in the above case, we must use try catch finally inside the finally block to perform close operations. In the above case, we must use try catch finally inside the finally block to perform what operation there now? Close operations here now. It is a bit confused code. It's a bit confused code. Understand my point here? It's a bit confusing code. Understand my point here now? So not suggestible in our applications. Then what is the solution here? So this code is somewhat not good code. This code is somewhat confused code. Definitely we need to have some solution. Then what is the solution here? What are the problems here? Developers must close the resources explicitly. It is not guaranteed. In the above case, we must use try catch finally inside the finally block to perform close operations. It's a bit of a confusing code. Then what is the solution for it? Solution is very clear. To overcome the above problems, we have to use try with resources option, try with resources feature provided by Java 1.7 version. We must use what there? The try with resources feature provided by Java 1.7 version. Then what is this try with resources here? What this try with resources is able to do now? All of you observe carefully. Try with the resources feature. Understand it clearly. What is the advantage here we are able to get? Now try with resources feature is able to close all the resources when a flow of execution is coming out from try block. Whenever flow of execution is coming out from try block, automatically all the resources are going to be closed automatically by JVM, where developer is not required to write any close operation. Automatically JVM can close all the resources when a flow of execution is coming out from try block. Are you getting it or not? So try with resources feature is able to close, or else maybe I'm telling to you clearly, in try with resources feature, JVM is able to close all the resources when JVM is coming out from try block. When a try with resources feature, JVM is able to close all the resources when JVM is coming out from what block there? Try block. So now tell me, is a guaranteed one or not? Definitely. Once you enter inside the try block, definitely at any time we have to come out from the try block. The moment when JVM is coming out from the try block, then automatically the resources are going to be closed. Now it is guaranteed one or not? Closing JVM, closing by JVM, closing by developer. Which one is guaranteed one? JVM. JVM is one, what there? Guaranteed one. So developer close in the sense, you may forget to close the resources. That's point number one. Next, so observe carefully. If JVM is closing the resources, JVM is closing the resources automatically, then it is not required to write close methods inside the finally block. Am I right or not? If JVM is closing the resources, no, then it is not required to write close methods inside the finally block. So it is not required to write nested try catch finally. It is not required to write what there? Nested try catch finally. Now it is not confused code. Confused. Now it is not confusing code. Right, sir. Now this is the point here we have to understand. But what is the syntax of this try with resources? No, everybody understand this? No. All right, sir. First of all, here we have to take try catch. Exception E, like this here we have taken. Observe carefully. The syntax is like what there? Along with the try, we have to take parenthesis. Inside this parenthesis here, we have to write like what there, resource 1, semicolon, or resource 2, semicolon, and so on and so on and so on. We can write resource n, semicolon. How many number of resources can we provided here? Resource 1, resource 2, and so on. Resource n, semicolon, then inside the catch block. That's it. Not required to write finally block. Why? Because I'm not going to write any closing operations. This is syntax. No? Then in the previous example, whatever the example here we have seen there, previous example here, I'm going to discuss with you. Now try to understand it. Try, catch, exception, E. Here we have written this. Now observe carefully. We need to declare the resources along with the try. Here what we are going to provide there, connection con is equal to driver manager dot get connection. Some parameters are available. Leave this one. Next one is after this. Buffer reader BR is equal to new buffer reader, new input stream reader of system dot in. Okay. Here we provide it like this, input stream reader. This is another resource. Next one, after this, socket S is equal to new socket of localhost colon some port number. Here we provided. Now here E dot print stack trace method or something else here we are able to write. Now tell me, is there any requirement to write finally block? First of all, is there any requirement to close these resources? No, they're auto closable resources. What resources there? No, auto closable resources. They will be closed automatically when a flow of execution is coming out from try block. No need to close them explicitly. Right, sir? Not required to close explicitly in the sense, not required to write finally block. But if you have any other requirement to write finally block, then we can write finally block. Only for the sake of, only because of closing, because of this closing resources purposes, if you want to write finally block, no, then it is not required. For other requirement, if you want to write finally block, there we can write that finally block now. Right, so now this is about like what there, try with resources option here. But one small note is available, now try to understand it. Last point about this try with resources here. What is the point here I'm telling to you? All right, sir, understand my point here. If we use the resources along with the try with resources, if we use the resources along with the try with resources feature, then that if we want to use the resources along with the try with resources feature, then all that resources, observe carefully, must implement or extend java.lang auto closable marker interface. Then only that auto closing nature will come. When the resources are getting auto closing nature, when the resources are implementing, or extending what interface there? Java.lang auto closable interface. Then only that resources are having auto closing option. Otherwise, auto closing option is not going to be available. Yes, sir. All of you are getting it or not? Whatever the point here I'm telling to you. So this is exactly the meaning of like what there, auto closable option, auto closing resources, auto closable resources. That's clear or not? Say again and again I'm telling there, one or two examples I'm going to use this try catch finally syntax. After that, immediately I will come to what there. I'll come to what there. Try with resources option. Again in the JDBC, I will not discuss about what there. Try with resources option. I will not discuss about what there. Try with resources option. Again, this much of total content I will not discuss there. But we have to understand. We need to understand the content clearly. Because of that reason, I'm taking this prerequisite part. Otherwise, it's not required to go for prerequisite part. Directly, I can start JDBC now. Sir, are you getting it or not? That's enough, guys. Now, this is a story about like what there, like try catch finally options. Right. Sir. Now, tell me. I'm asking some questions. Try to answer for it. If you are getting an exception inside the try block, then flow of execution will go to what location? Inside the try, if you are getting an exception, next step is what? Directly to what there? Catch block. If no exception is available inside the try block, then what is the flow of execution? It will skip a catch block execution. Directly it will go to what block there? Finally block. Now tell me, in which situation finally block will be executed? In which case finally block will be executed? In both the cases, in any case, in all the cases, in any case, whether we are getting an exception or not, whether we are executing catch block or not, that doesn't matter. In all cases, finally block will be executed. Yes, sir. Got it or not? Right, sir. It's okay, fine. Which code we are going to keep inside the try block? Which code we are going to write inside the try block? Doubtful code. Doubtful code. Is the doubtful code is giving any guarantee for exception? Is it giving any guarantee for exception? No, it is not giving guarantee for exception. It may rise, may not rise the exception. One more point I'm telling there. Writing some code inside the try block in the sense there is no condition to rise an exception from try block. It may not rise the exception. If it rise the exception, flow of execution will be somewhat different. If it is not rising an exception, flow of execution will be somewhat different. That we have to understand clearly. Right, sir. Apart from this, in exception handling, few more points here I want to discuss with you. Try to understand it. Is it possible to write try catch finally inside the finally block? We are thinking about it. Already I shown that point. Yes, we can write try catch finally inside what block there? Finally block. Is it possible to write try catch finally inside the catch block? Yes, of course, we can write it. Is it possible to write try catch finally inside the finally inside the try block? Yes, we can write, but not necessary. Try block is already handling the exception. Again, what is the requirement to write try catch finally inside the try block? No. Understand it clearly. Not necessary, but it's possible. We can write it. Already in core Java, I shown all the points. Next, a few more points. Is it possible to write try block without catch block? Yes, of course, we can write it, but with what? Finally block. If you write try no without catch, we must write what there? Finally block. Is it possible to write try block without finally block? Yes, of course, we can write that try without finally, but with what? Catch block. No. So once you are writing try block, either we must provide catch or we have to provide finally or both. But if we want to write catch and finally for try block, in which order we have to provide catch and finally? In which order we have to provide catch finally? Along with the try, first we have to write catch, then we have to write finally. Is it possible to interchange catch and finally along with the try? Try finally catch is possible? Not possible. Finally catch try is possible? Not possible here. Along with the try, we have to write catch and finally in the order must be like what there? Catch, then finally. Sir, are you getting it or not? Right, sir. Next one is it possible to provide more than one catch block for a single try block? Possible or not possible? As it is possible to write more than one catch block for a single try block, but two conditions here we have to follow. What are the two conditions? No. If we have, see, for each and every catch block, we are going to write what their exception class name. If you have any inheritance relation between exception classes which are provided along with the catch blocks, no, then all the catch blocks we have to write inheritance increasing order. First catch block sub exception class name. Next catch block super exception class name. Next catch block super exception class name. In this order only we have to provide. If we change this order, you'll get compilation error. In the case, if no inheritance relation is existed between exception class names, no, in any order we can provide that multiple catch blocks. In any of the order here we can provide what there? Multiple catch blocks. Got it or not? Now this is rule number 1. But rule number 2 is also existed. What is that rule number 2 there? Observe carefully. In any of the catch block, if you are using pure checked exception, in any of the catch block, if we use pure checked exception, What is that pure checked exception? Say for example IO exception, then the corresponding try block must arise the same pure checked exception. In any of the catch block, if we use pure checked exception, in the respective try block, the same pure checked exception must be used. Otherwise, we will get what their compilation error here we are able to get. Yes, sir. All of you are getting it or not? This is what exactly the meaning here we can understand about our content. Clear or not? Right, sir. This is overall description about our exception handling the content here. Next one is what there. After completion of these IO streams. IO streams related content here we have to understand. Simple definition I'm asking there, now try to understand. What is a stream? Simple definition. What is a stream? Okay, I'll give some example, try to understand it now. Understand the definition first, after that I will give some example. Stream is a channel or a medium. Stream is a channel or medium. It is able to carry data from input devices to the Java program and from Java program to the output devices. Come again, what is the meaning of stream? No, stream is a channel or medium. It is able to carry the data from input devices to the Java program and from Java program to the output devices. Get my point or not? This is exactly the meaning of what there a stream. Okay, fine. Definition is okay, but for your understanding purpose, I'm going to take one example. Try to understand it now. Of course, in core Java, I need to start this IO stream separately after completion of this multi-threading. There we are going to see effectively the content now, but required information here I'm discussing with you now. Try to understand it now. For example, if you have some house, I think your house, independent house or maybe apartments, whatever it may be, your house. On the top of your house or above the penthouse, there is some water tank or not? In general, we used to see that water tank at the top of the houses only. Okay, good. What is the process at every day? Now tell me. What is the process there? When municipal water is coming, one water pipeline, that water pipeline, municipal water pipeline is available at the ground floor, right? Whenever that municipal water is coming, then immediately we have to start our engine or not, that means motor or not. That motor will dump that water from municipal water pipeline to the that water tank. Okay. When this water is totally dispatched to the water tank, no, later on that water will be dispatched to various locations in our house, maybe in the kitchen room or maybe in the washroom or maybe at some other, if you have any at any other location, if you require that water there, automatically that water will be distributed from the water tank. Am I right or not? See, observe carefully. Your water tank is a Java program. Your municipal water pipeline is an input device. Your kitchen room is what there, an output device. Simple. At the top of your home, water tank is available. That is Java program. Municipal water pipeline, that is an input. That is a source for the data. That is an input. Your kitchen room, for example, kitchen room is what there is an output device. Okay. First of all, whenever we are getting water in the municipal water pipeline, we have to dump that water to the tank or not? To pour that water to the tank, no, first of all, we require a pipe or not? We need to use one pipe or not? Water pipe or not? Through this water pipe only we have to send that water or not? We have to pour that water to the tank or not? Okay, water is available in the water tank. That's okay, nice. After that, I require some water in my kitchen room. When I open the tap, automatically water is coming from water tank to my kitchen room or not? Where to transfer the water from water tank to our kitchen room, again we require a pipe or not? Understand my point here? From municipal water pipeline to our tank, one pipe is required to carry the water. From water tank to our kitchen room to carry the water, again we require what the one of water pipeline. Am I right or not? That water pipe is acting as a stream. There in this overall example, that water pipe is there, right? White color pipe, whatever the pipe now. That pipe is acting as what there is a stream. It is able to carry water from input devices to the Java program, from Java program to the output devices. Now tell me, what is the meaning of this stream, sir? What is the definition I've given there? Stream is a channel or medium. Channel or medium. That water pipe is what there? Channel or medium. It is able to carry data from input devices to the Java program, from Java program to the output devices. Which operation you want to perform, that depends on your requirement. Input operation, input stream is required. Output operation, output stream is required. Right, sir. Got it or not? Clearly, no. Right, sir. This is a basic awareness on stream. Let me write the definition here. Stream, it is a channel or what next one here? No, medium. Channel or medium. It is able to carry data from input devices to the Java application and from Java applications to the output devices. In the case of this computer science, what are the input devices? No. In the case of our technical definition, what are the input devices? No. Mouse is acting as an input device. Keyboard is an input device. No. All are input devices. Observe carefully. After this, what are the output devices? No. Monitor is acting as an output device. Printer is acting as what there? An output device. A network is acting as what there? An output device. Understand my point now? From input devices to Java program, from Java program to output devices. For that purpose, we require what there? A stream. That's the meaning of what there? A stream. Okay. That's okay, guys. Then continuation we are going to understand that. Then tomorrow I'll discuss about the remaining part of this content here. Tomorrow onwards, you are not aware about the content, no? In a bit slow manner, I'm going to discuss there. Up to now, a bit faster manner I discuss it here. Why? Because already aware about this content here. Tomorrow onwards, our original content I'm going to start. Original content in the sense, the concepts which are known, which are not aware by you. So tomorrow onwards, the class are very, very important. Don't miss the classes there. Especially dynamic input approaches we required. We require clearly dynamic input approaches. No, because of that reason, without fail, you try to attend for the classes there. Right? Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. We'll meet on tomorrow. Demos are already completed, guys. There are no demos here. This is a prerequisite part. It is required in our content here every day. No, so no demos here. It's a regular content only, but within 2 to 3 days of time, link is also be changed, guys. Now, yeah, try to attend for it. Thank you. Thank you so much.